Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. I couldn't wait to get to my next guest, a Miami hip-hop legend from the rap group 2 Live Crew. He's been on the show before, and I wanted him back to sort of recap the week of hot topics that have been percolating all over the damn world right now. Please welcome the one, the only Uncle Luke himself, Luther Campbell, a.k.a. Uncle Luke. What's up, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
Hey, man, everything's great, man. I can't complain, man. It's football season. It's a contact sport, baby.
I ain't mad at you. I know you know your football. I know you love your football, but I'll be damned if that's why I asked you to come on today. I mean, you know what the hell's been going on all week and all of this other stuff. I mean, just to recap everything. When you heard about Diddy and obviously him getting arrested, them taking him to jail, denying him bail, not once but twice, what went through your mind, Uncle Luke?
Let me tell you something. The first thing that went to my mind was the liquor company. When you stand at a liquor company that's paying you all this money, 15 million or whatever it was,
right?
That they're going after you, and you make racial claims against them. What those big type of corporations do, they have a tendency. Diageo, they come after you.
Right.
They come after you. If you're going to go into a court of law and think you're going to win a fight without them deframing you or making you look like the worst person in the world. So that was the first thing that came to my mind, just thinking that these people are so powerful and they're so politically motivated where they actually own senators who actually get on the phone and call up presidents and tell presidents to appoint certain people and certain department heads. It's just real easy for them to get on the phone call and say, hey, look here, man, put pressure on that brother there. And I think that's what he got caught in.
So basically what you're saying is you ain't even attaching any guilt or innocence to him. What you're basically saying is he made the wrong damn enemies, and now they came for him.
He made the wrong enemies. I mean, he went and essentially did what our parents always say, never bite the hand that feeds you. And so now he's in a world of trouble, you know what I'm saying? I mean, let's think about it. Steve, we all have been to a bachelor party.
Right.
That was a bachelor party. I mean, you're going to jail for a bachelor party. If you're going to, let's keep it 100. So bachelor parties are technically illegal. Now, the thing that he did with Cassie, I originally thought California was going to take up that as a kidnapping. Now, that is where the problem comes in at. But everything else, baby all, bachelor party, freak offs, whatever you want to name it. I mean, guys are setting up freak offs right now because they get ready to get married all over the world. So, and they're transporting girls in from different places who are going to be about that life. That's just the fact of it all.
What about the notion that, number one, let's take the video. Cassie Ventura is her name. That's his ex now. We saw on video what he did to her. What they're trying to say is that ain't the only person he's done it to. You're talking about violence against women, physical violence, etc. You're talking about, they're basically calling Bad Boy Entertainment, implying anyway, it's a damn prostitution ring, that you got people coming up in there, whatever. Now, last time I checked in certain states, hell, we don't even know if prostitution is illegal. But what is illegal is drugging them without them knowing, et cetera, et cetera. It's similar stuff that they said about Bill Cosby, similar stuff that they said about Jeffrey Epstein, it's similar stuff that they said about Harvey Weinstein. What about the notion of comparing that in some small way, if not more, to all of those names I just threw out there, Uncle Luke?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a Me Too movement. When you have a movement in the world and people are moving certain type of ways, and all the people that you named off, all of these historic people who got taken down, that is the new thing. Hey, look, automatically they attach you to child pornography, underage individuals coming into parties and things like that. But in this case, I don't think I remember them saying anything about young underage kids. This whole thing of trafficking, bringing people, sex workers.
Right.
Those are the girls at the strip club. Taking them across county line or state line, that's illegal. I mean, I'm having a little problem with that one there because, again, people are doing that every day. Guys are going to Tulum, guys are going to Mexico, Cozumel, and going all over the world right now to celebrate their bachelor party, and they're taking the so-called now new name sex workers across county lines, statewide, and they're taking them around the country. So, I mean, when you get into the drug part of it, that is the problem. You can't drug girls. You can't do that. I mean, and take advantage of him. The thing that he did with Cassidy, that's on video, that's a problem. You can't do that. I mean, certain things you just can't do.
I want to make sure, because I've known you for years, and I want to make sure I'm looking out for you here. I'm certainly not trying to imply nothing. I want to be straight up and down with this. You're basically speaking against the violence, because there's no excuse for that. You can't condone that. And the drugs, there's no excuse for that. But, meaning unknown, drugging somebody, they don't know it. But what you're saying is, shove that aside, and if there's not any truth to that, sex workers, you talking about, you comparing that to poke to the strip club. You talking about, you basically saying this stuff been going on all the time. You called it a bachelor party. If anybody would know, Uncle Luke would know. So I'm asking you, is that what you're saying? You're saying you don't want to hear that nonsense about sex workers and stuff, or they coming across state lines or whatever, because you're saying this stuff been happening all the time for decades.
Bro, this been happening for 100 years. I mean, let's face it. But at the end of the day, man, I don't believe in, drugging women. I mean, that's out of the question, beating women, holding people against their will, doing all that wild stuff. I mean, look, Steve, I can write a book on what to do and what not to do. You feel me? But at the end of the day, you can't do certain things. And if Diddy did do that, then he got to pay for it.
Did he ever come to you for advice? I mean, considering all these damn parties he was throwing, he did have a crib in Miami, not just LA. Did he come to you? Did he come to Uncle Luke and say, yo, man, did he come to you for advice?
He didn't come to me for advice. I think what ended up happening is, which happens to a lot of guys, they moved down to Miami with the understanding of this big perception of what Uncle Luke has been doing for so many years down here, and they get caught up in Miami. They get caught up at Tootsie. They get caught up at Booby Trap. They get caught up at the office, and they think that's acceptable. And they get to the point where they say, okay, I don't want to go to these places and party with the dancers, so-called now sex workers. I want to have a party at my house. So I'm going to do it bigger and better than what they do at the club, or bigger and better than what Uncle Luke probably did. And then they go too far. And he probably should have consulted with me about the do's and the don'ts, because, again, at the end of the day, you get caught up with the wrong thing that you're doing at these parties. And hopefully the young fella have his day in court. And at the end of the day, justice will prevail one way or the other.
Damn it, Luke, Uncle Luke, what's the don'ts? You don't have to give me the do's. We don't have to give me the do's. We don't need to go too far. We don't want to get X-rated here. But what are the don'ts? I like for everybody out there, what are the don'ts that everybody should know you just don't do?
Sound like you get ready to move to Miami.
Maybe. Man, I ain't throwing no parties, though. But go ahead, man. Go ahead.
The don'ts are, one, you do not drug girls. Two, which should be number one, which is the number one, too. You do not bring underage girls into
anything,
whatever you want to call it, freak off or bachelor party or whatever you get ready to do.
You don't hit them. You don't hit them.
Number three, you don't take advantage of nobody. I mean, guys get creative. You got to have a wholesome party. You let the thing happen. Let it happen how it's going to happen. Let it flow how it's going to flow. You don't push the envelope and then start taking advantage of the beautiful women in there, because they know to do a job. Let them flow how they're going to flow. And that's how, that's the PG version of it. I can tell you, I'm going to have to be able to put you up on game.
And never, ever, ever hit a woman. Let's make sure we say that. Never put your hands on a woman.
No, absolutely not. You don't put your hand on a woman, because at the end of the day, man, it's about having a good time, having a party. But then now when people get too out of hand, whether it's the host or individuals who are in the party, then you got to then shut it down, or you got to tell them to leave. Sometimes the host get a little out of hand, and somebody has to be responsible. The host homeboy, hey, look, man, we need to shut this thing down because you're getting a little out of hand with this, and you got to do it like that.
What kind of reputation did P. Diddy have in Miami? If anybody would know, you would know. Him, what kind of reputation did he have as it pertained to the parties, but also his reputation within the industry and within the culture? Because you would know the answer to that question.
In Miami, he virtually had no reputation in Miami. To be honest with you, that's why, when you heard Drake do the record, hey, tell Uncle Luke I'm out in Miami too, it's because I called all of them out. I was like, you guys are living down here, you're moving down here, you're a part of the culture, you're bringing the girls in, you're dating out women, you're eating the food, you're rolling around. You need to be a part of the community. You know what I'm saying? You need to, go read a book to some of the kids in the community, be a little more involved instead of just sitting on the court side at the Heat game, and sucking up all the air. And so at the end of the day, me and him had that conversation. And that was pretty much the only time that I did go to a Diddy party, which was a New Year's Eve. I went in and went out.
Okay.
Because one thing I know, Steve, I know when to go.
That's right.
I know when to go. I know when to leave. So, we had that conversation, and he started getting more involved in the community, along with Lil Wayne. Them eventually they left, but that's just it. As far as the industry itself, he would have his parties at his house. Mostly people from around the country and not necessarily Miami folks. Because Miami folks just did not feel that he was a part of the culture of Miami, and he had embraced Miami like that. So it was more like a transplant.
With that being said, how are they feeling about him now? How's everybody feeling about him now in the culture?
Well, look, the culture, as far as the music business, man, I hate to see that, the things that are going on, especially with the young lady, Cassie. Seeing her get beat, that lady was a part of the music industry, the industry itself, for whatever it was. You just don't do that. A lot of people, when they give you a name and the kids that I coach say, no Diddy, when you get a label like that and you become a sane, no Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Like my end or whatever. That's hardcore. So as far as him and his reputation, it's pretty much tarnished because he got to live with that for the rest of his life. The things that he's done, I don't see a comeback for him. I hate it for the brother because, again, I knew this brother when he first linked up with Andre Harrell and Big and all them. And, me and Big, we rolled together a lot. And so at the end of the day, I saw the things that he was doing. You know his story. His story, he promoted parties and people died, and all the different things that happened around him. But then to see him become successful, you cheer for a guy like that. You cheer for a guy like that. But to see him now being taken down, at the end of the day, he did it to himself. And a lot of people say it had a lot to do with drugs. And, when your head get a little too big, you got to be able to humble yourself.
By the way, you said don't do nothing with no underage girls. Let's add guys, too. Don't do anything with no underage guys, because we hear a whole bunch of wild stuff. We got to throw all of that out. We got to make sure we cover ourselves, make sure all of that get mentioned, Uncle Luke. All of it gets mentioned. All of it.
Under no circumstances.
Under no circumstances. Now, let me ask you this. The man is worth over $500 million. What resonated with me, Uncle Luke, was, damn, they wouldn't even let him. In a time where the economy is suspect in some people's eyes, you got inflation to deal with, stuff like that. The government seemed to be inventing ways to take some of your money. You understand, taxes and everything else. This man offered $50 million bond, and they said, hell no, we don't want it. That resonated with me. I'm saying, oh, damn. This is bad. They ain't playing. My belief, though, is they want him and a whole bunch of others, while some people would say they just want him that bad. The culture, what's the culture saying?
Man, the culture is saying something in the milk ain't clean. Something definitely in the milk ain't clean. And at the end of the day, it goes back to just like you say, Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein went in jail. Everybody knew he had cases on everybody. And for him to mysteriously die in jail, they're looking at it saying we can't make the same mistake that we made with Jeffrey Epstein. And if Diddy goes out again, they allege that he did some witness tampering. He started calling up people saying don't talk to prosecutors and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why they don't want him out. But that thing is suicide. That thing is suicide when your back is against the wall. they're really seriously looking at that. And then, I mean, if you got $50 million and you just sold a house for $18 million, you become a real serious flight risk at it as well. So, I wasn't surprised when they didn't let him out, but it's hard as fuck. I mean, to not let this man out, put an ankle bracelet on, I guess they feel like he's so superhero that they can't let him out, which is hardcore.
Staying on the culture, last question on this particular subject. What do you think this is going to do to the hip-hop industry, the whole music industry as a whole? You see cats resigning the day he was arrested. You're hearing news that others are going to resign and they're going to step away. You're hearing that Hollywood is on lock. Everybody's fearful. They just showed up to a party and still they might get implicated. What do you believe this has done to the music industry and to the Hollywood industry as a whole?
Let me tell you, for the exec part of it, and for those people who were in the in crowd, I never was in the in crowd. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, these parties went everywhere. These parties went on at Marcus Vineyard. These parties went on in LA. These parties went on in Paris. And you've had major executives that went to the party, and then if guys stayed for the after party, and they could be implicated into this whole bad movie. I mean, I can see a lot of these executives, stepping down because, again, at the end of the day, on that level, people know things and are able to say things and say, look, you might need to step down. Us regular people, FBI director ain't gonna call us up and say, hey, look here, we coming for you. But for those people on that level, who are very politically involved, somebody made a call to somebody, in the words of Trick Daddy, somebody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that at the end of the day told somebody, hey, you might need to step down, man, because this thing getting ready to get real bad.
Suge Knight was on News Nation with Chris Cuomo the other night from prison.
That happened.
They called it.
You do an interview from prison?
Yeah, he did. Man, he got a podcast. He got a podcast for prison. It's called Collect Call with Suge. I'm not lying. It's not an exaggeration. He got a podcast. He got a podcast. My question to you is this. How much should his words be taken seriously? I take it seriously. He say something about that world. I'm like, he got credentials to speak on that. He would know. But others are saying he's been in jail for 10 years. How would he know? Which line of thinking do you take when it comes to listening to what Suge Knight says about Diddy?
Let me tell you like this. You're still connected to the outside world. Some shape, form, or fashion, guys don't supposed to have telephones in jail, but they do have telephones in jail. But then they get their one or two, calls, and they get it done. So those guys are still connected. But I listened to the interview just like you did. And I listened to certain things when he talked about drugs and the industry drugging Diddy. Again, a lot of my friends who know him real closely, they said, yeah, he got consumed with the drugs. And so when you hear certain things like that from a guy that's incarcerated, that means he's really, really in touch with the situation.
Right.
You feel me? And so at the end of the day, and a lot of other things that Suge said, the industry don't change. If you don't control the industry will control you. If you don't humble yourself, if you don't let it go to your head, then it will get you. It will eat you up. It will consume you. When you think you're too big, well, you can go and file a lawsuit against Diageo, the largest liquor brand. They've been around since Prohibition.
Own Ciroc.
Exactly. When you feel like you can go after these type of conglomerates, something got to your head, Steve. Something really got to your head. Drugs or something, or the liquor, something really got to your head when you think you that big, where you could take on that giant.
Well, listen, you battled people before. You battled the government before. Was you on something? You did it. Why? I can understand. Does it have to be drugs?
No. And listen, the government wouldn't give me $15 million. If the government would give me $15 million, we'd have been, hey, okay, we'd have had a little conversation, but at the end of the day, I had to do it because of hip hop. I had to do it. I mean, I looked at it from the standpoint of saying, look here, man, yeah, I got all this beautiful stuff. And at the end of the day, you know, they're trying to take our rights away. I had 3 cases, whether it was when my record was deemed obscene by a federal court judge. And then at the end of the day, I got parity, whether it was protected by the First Amendment, if I don't win that case. So I took it as a shot at hip hop because people were doing it before me. You had Millie Jackson, you had Weird Al Yankovic, you had, you know, artists. I mean, you had comedians saying worse things than I said, and so I took it as a shot at hip hop. They're trying to stop it. You know, Tipple Gore, Al Gore White had this long list where we all were on the list, go after us and those things. And so it was going on during those times. I was like, look, I got to put my body on the line for hip hop. So, you know, I'll take quite a bit of my money and I'll fight so that these girls and everybody can do what they're doing right now today on the record.
Uncle Luke right here with Stephen A. right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airways of YouTube and iHeartRadio. Let me transition. You and I have a disagreement, Uncle Luke. I read something. Are you ready for this? I mean, we usually don't beef. We get along fine. You always been good to me, Uncle Luke. But we got a disagreement right here. We got a disagreement right here. What was the problem with Jay-Z picking Kendrick Lamar instead of Lil Wayne? Well, what was the problem for the Super Bowl? What's the problem with that, Uncle Luke? Why?
I just knew you was getting ready to talk about my Cowboys, but
I saved that for last. I saved that for last.
Thank you for not.
Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Let me say this, Steve.
Yeah.
You got 32 teams in the NFL.
Okay.
You got 32 cities in the NFL. You got the Super Bowl moving from city to city.
Okay.
Super Bowl is going to New Orleans. Super Bowl went to LA. Super Bowl went to Miami. You know, it's going to other different cities.
Okay.
I mean, Kendrick Lamar, I love him to death. I think I love the diss song. I love all his music outside of the diss song. But at the end of the day, to have him perform at the halftime of the Super Bowl in New Orleans, home of No Limit, home of Cash Money, home of Lil Wayne, home of that whole movement. I mean, they did it right. After they did it wrong in Miami, they did it right in LA. Why not do it right
Okay. Let me come back at you with that. But first, I want to read the quote. Put that quote from Uncle Luke right back up on that full screen, please. He said, quote, "It brought up effed up memories of when the Super Bowl happened in Miami because I said something then and I called Jay-Z out for it. I don't look at it like a diss to Lil Wayne. I look at it as a snub of all New Orleans music. I look at it as snubbing Cash Money and No Limit and everything that New Orleans music is all about," end quote. Let me come back at you with that. I get where you're coming from. I understand. Here's my issue. Yeah, you had Shakira and J-Lo in Miami, which, by the way, is not a bad visual thing for any of us to look at, okay? So let's get that out the way, okay? That's number one.
J-Lo is available, just so you know.
Oh, stop that. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, Uncle Luke. Here's the deal. In reality, man, most performers for the halftime for Super Bowl, they weren't from those respective cities that the Super Bowl was in. Now, it happened with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and them in L.A. My point is, that's not a normal circumstance. That was an anomaly. It happened then, and who's to say, all right, next year's Super Bowl, Lil Wayne can't do it then. You know, Master P and all of them cats that won it. I'm like, who told you that just because it's in New Orleans that there needs to be New Orleans artists? That's why it bothered me when I saw Lil Wayne all emotional. I'm like, for what? You know, I mean, there's plenty of people that perform at the Super Bowl and they weren't from those cities. A matter of fact, that's 99% of the time.
But Steve, you gotta understand, you know this better than anybody. You know this better than anybody, how the world moves, how the world changes, how things change in this world. What they did in LA with the LA Super Bowl and all of these LA artists was absolutely beautiful. Everybody loved it. My point is this: you can have anybody if you want to do the Super Bowl in Tampa. You can have anybody if you want to do the Super Bowl in Jacksonville. You can have anybody if you want to do the Super Bowl in Nashville. You can have anybody if you want to do it in Arizona. You got all these places where you can have all these different artists at. But when you go to a city Like Atlanta. When they went to Atlanta one time, there was a big problem in Atlanta, but then they didn't end up making it right. When you go to a city like New Orleans, after you set new precedent in LA, and you bring in another rap artist, Kendrick Lamar, who just, by the way, dissed Lil Wayne artist,
Right.
into his hometown. Drake is Lil Wayne's artist, last time I checked.
Okay. I don't know, but
You bring him into New Orleans,
right.
which again, I love Kendrick Lamar to death. If you're gonna do country western Steve, okay, fine. If you're gonna have Garth Brooks do the halftime in New Orleans, fine. But you're bringing a hip hop artist into a hip hop city. You can't do that.
Oh, yes, you can.
You can't do that.
And are you ready? Are you ready for this? Let me tell you why you can. Let me tell you why you can. First of all, Kendrick Lamar right now the hottest shit. He's the hottest shit out. Let's call that what it is. That's number one. Number two, Lil Wayne, big time. I know what he's done. Mad love and respect to him always, always. All right. But in the same breath, sometimes your music, you gotta remember, it ain't about New Orleans. That's where it's gonna be, but that's not the audience. The audience is worldwide. The audience is worldwide. So to me,
you telling me Lil Wayne is not global?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying at this moment in time, he ain't the hottest thing out. That's Kendrick Lamar. That's what I'm saying.
Hold on. Time out. Was Michael Jackson the hottest thing out? Was at the time?
Did you just?
Michael Jackson was always global because of the hit.
Hold it. You give me a heart attack. You give me a heart attack right now. Did you just ask me the question? Hold it. Did you just ask me the question? Was Michael Jackson the hottest thing out? Michael Jackson?
Listen. No, I'm not. You know, we talking about the king.
All right.
Same thing. Listen, and here's my point. Since I'm pushing back, here's my point. When they brought Prince to Miami to perform, that's a whole nother level.
Whole nother level.
You bringing Kendrick Lamar, who's equal to Lil Wayne in Lil Wayne City.
Got you.
That's my point. If you brought in Whitney Houston and Tampa to sing the national anthem, that's global.
All right.
That's global. There's no argument there.
Right.
If you brought in to Miami, if you brought in Beyonce over Shakira and J-Lo,
right.
That's global. Them little girls got to go sit down.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. I got you.
You guys on the same level.
I got you.
Same level.
I got you. Fair enough. Let me ask you this. What if Jay-Z had picked himself?
That's global.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
And if Jay-Z would have picked himself, this would have been the smartest thing he ever could have did.
Invited Lil Wayne with him.
He could have brought in Kendrick Lamar. He could have brought in Lil Wayne. And then he could have did some real Don shit, some real gangster shit, and say, fuck that. Come on, Drake, you coming too. I'm gonna put my arms around all y'all. Because yeah, we could have these beefs on records, but I'm the Don. All y'all gonna sit up here, we chilling together at the table at the end of the day. Would have been some gangster shit.
Yeah, I'm telling you, right, especially if he would have opened up, hey, Mr. Carter, I am him. Oh, no, I got you. I feel you. I feel where you coming from. But let me say this to you. With all of that being said, right, what about the credit Jay-Z is not being given? Like Nicki Minaj got at me. I ain't want to go at her. I respect her. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to disrespect her. I was just talking about, you don't have to be in a respective city. I ain't trying to get no argument with Nicki Minaj. Cash Money and those brothers, I know them. I ain't trying to get nothing with them. Nothing but love for the Master P I've known for years. Certainly not. That's my brother. I ain't trying to get nothing with him. I'm just saying, what about y'all saying it's a disappointment, whatever, but going at him the way some of them went at him, knowing what he's done for hip-hop when it comes to getting them involved in the Super Bowl? Because you didn't see hip-hop artists performing at halftime of the Super Bowl until Jay-Z took over. What about the respect and the consideration that the brother has brought to the industry?
No, you gotta have respect for Jay. Jay is on the level of any type of disrespect, you could disagree with iconic figures like Jay. You could disagree, but when you start disrespecting him, that's dead ass wrong. you don't do that. Because one thing about that dude there, man, you get on the phone and talk to him. You can call him. He's approachable.
Absolutely.
He's reachable. He'll have a conversation and he'll tell you his whole rationale behind what he's doing and how he's doing it. But at the end of the day, when you look at him, he's like the Michael Jordan of the hip hop business. I mean, he kind of alluded to that in a couple of interviews when he talked about me, doing what I helped the industry to do. But at the end of the day, that is really him. He's taking the industry to a whole nother level. He's taking street guys like himself and all the rest of the street guys of the world who got into this business to clean their life up. And he showed a way that you can, do the right thing. And for him to get any kind of backlash behind something like this, you're dead wrong. You can disagree, like I disagree, but then at the end of the day, you can't hate. You can't get on social media talking about he this and he that and all that. No, that man has did so much for this business, and I love him to death.
I got you. Before I let you get on out of here, man, because everybody got love for you, too. What you got going on with yourself, man? You always look out for me. You always coming on this show, dropping signs. Always appreciate you, man. You're always welcome on the show. What you got going on with yourself, man?
Hey, man, look, it's football season. So,
That's right.
I coach football during this time of year, and at the end of the day, me and Will Packer, we got together, and I'm giving you exclusive.
Okay.
Will is going to do my movie.
Wow.
It's going to be done with Paramount.
Okay.
And so it's going to be major, and I can't wait for that to come out. But at the end of the day, just pounding the pavement, man, just pounding the pavement.
Keep doing that. That's going to be a big-time film. I know that much. You got your Uncle Luke. I'm scared. I'm scared about what's going to be in that content. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy. You know that, right? I mean, I know you know. You're doing that on purpose. You doing that. When the hell is it coming? When the hell is it coming out, man? When is it coming out, man?
You all right? Hey, we don't have to take you because we got to start shooting then. And I have another project that I'm working with LeBron on. I can't really talk too much about it, but
right.
we're getting ready to go into production on that project as well. So, I work with Spring Hill on one project, Warriors of Liberty City, and we partnered up on another one, which is going to be an incredible project.
I'm going to holler at you soon, man. Always appreciate you, my brother. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming on the show. I'll talk to you soon.
No doubt. Appreciate you.
No doubt. Uncle Luke in the house. Boy, that man is special. He crazy, but special. Special. Lord have mercy. I need a few minutes to recover from that interview. This bro is wild, all right?